Yeah, closing the gap on war against crime and terrorism is basically what we're looking at today. And on this, you recall that the issues concerning the missing Alpha jet, which the Boko Haram sect claimed that they shot down, is also raising a lot of dust and worries, and how to tackle this, even the aspect of the Ebonyi attack, and of course the prison break at Owerri, Imo State, is also raising a lot of worries. But discussing this, closing the gap on war against crime and terrorism, I will be having a chat with the public relations officer of the Edo State Police Command, that is SP Kontongs Bello, in a short while. But again, still with me in the studio, I have a social media influencer, a political analyst, Frank Ehioson. Thanks for joining me, Frank.
Very pleasure.
Well, the aspect about the missing aircraft and the Boko Haram sect claiming that they shot it down, but from all indications, the NAF dismissed that claim, saying that from the video clip that was shown, it shows that that clip was doctored. Now, this leaving Nigerians in a worried state. What are your thoughts on this?
Wow. My thoughts are not different from what is out there, like I think just now, in the viewpoint of average Nigerians. It's worrisome, and that there's such development in the first place. That the small conflict that started from a group of folks who were using arrows and daggers and cutlasses about a decade and 1 or 2 years ago has now metamorphosed to a point where we are talking about a renowned, in quotes, military like we have in Nigeria being carried on for a ragtag conflict for more than a decade. So it's quite a sorry tale. Now, coming to the specific, as per the NAV 475, as it's called, I read the statement credited to the spokesperson of the Nigerian Air Force, Air Commodore Edward Gabriel.
Okay.
The guy was specific on some notes, and I like that, to the extent that they are not making any conclusion, they are not leaving any possibility out of reach in this issue. As far as the incident is concerned, he was specific on that yes, they are suspicious of certain possibilities. It could have been a crash, there could have been a mechanical failure or something that led to it, but he was sure that it wasn't a shot from the Boko Haram folks like the video they portrayed.
Yes.
But what gets me a bit concerned is that in the speeches put forth, there wasn't a denial that the craft was specifically the one that was crashed or blown up, as the case may be. So I'm saying that, yes, the military puts up such denial, and they told us that they have their air surveillance, their specific unit for investigation and I can't remember the word to use for it now.
Okay.
Out there trying to get details out. But why they are saying this, the people who are inconsequential in quotes, ragtag army, barely 24 hours after the incident happened, they produced a video showing the Alpha jet specifically, NAV 475. So I'm not saying the military is doing reconnaissance, trying to reach out to see how they can get details, no doubt. And as I time he gave that statement, he said that they were hopeful of finding the pilots alive, the two young flight lieutenants who were in that aircraft. And there was something else that he said in one of his interviews. He said that that was not the only aircraft, the only jet fighter that was involved in that mission. Now there were two others. There were three that were given the troops on the ground assistance in the onslaught against the insurgents. So I imagine that if there are three jets that are on assignment at a point in time within a certain geographic region, there is some level of communication between them to ensure that there is a coherence in the operation. So if as at 5:08 p.m., specifically on Wednesday, 31st of March, this aircraft lost contact with the base station, I imagine that there could have been some bit of communication between the aircraft and the sister aircraft that they went on same assignment.
Yeah.
That's on the side. But the fact that the military is out trying to get details on this craft, but these insurgents were right there where the place, where the plane fell, or where it crashed finally, as the case may be.
Well, as been suspected though, because we can't really tell if that was the place.
No, you say as been suspected.
Because you agree with me that if you look at the operations of the terrorist group, they usually go with this whole idea of raising propaganda in order to capture audience, so don't you think that could be the case?
No, that's not contention. That's why I said...
Because experts have said that from the clip, from the video, it showed that it was doctored.
No, nobody's contesting that.
To
an uninformed individual that looks at the video, we appreciate the incoherence of the entire piece. That's the contention.
Okay.
I'm not questioning that. That's why I said he gave some specifics in the details put forward to the press. I said something. That amazes the fact that they doubt Boko Haram's claim. Of course, not just that they doubt, they know that it's not true. But they didn't cast aspersion on the fact that it was that specific jet. Go and read the speech.
Okay.
It did not interrogate the fact that that was the jet in question. So that's why I said it was of concern to me.
Okay.
Because these guys portrayed it in the video with the identity of the Nigerian Air Force and the number 475.
Okay.
That's why I said for me it's a bit concerning that those guys had that access. Now, as at yesterday, this day had a report where they affirmed that from a top military source, they got information that
in Bama. All right, yes. But investigations are still on in that regard. Yes.
That's why I said it's on the records.
Yes,
because it's not the official detail from the
military. But some experts also say that while we are on this, but shouldn't there be the drone technology, that can be used to reduce this casualty or loss of lives? But again, we look at that. We also look at the federal government's position of resources that are scarce. So what do you make of this? Don't you think it is high time we deployed drone technology in this fight against terror?
To tell the truth, if you want to go by the views of experts, especially when you interface with people who have served in the military in the past, you may end up wearing the garb of shame on behalf of the nation state. That is just the truth. If we go by where we are coming from, this 2021, 12 years since the, in quotes, group took the dimension of conflict that have been metamorphosed into what we have today. So we are now become a nation of excuses. I ponder and I wonder. We are being watched by neighboring countries. We are watched by the international community. The last time I was on this platform, I made reference to an onslaught that took place against these insurgents by the Chadian leadership. And I said that while we see the Boko Haram boasting and being so boisterous about how they want to deal with the Nigerian army and say all kinds of crap about the Nigerian state, when the Chadian forces will come after them, for the first time in their history that we know, Babouka Shekau came on the platform of addressing the press and begging the Chadian people not to take it in that light, apologizing. This shows that they were being overwhelmed. Overwhelmed is an understatement. They were given a fatal blow. And look at this other tale that I said, if we look at it from beginning to where we are, we tend to wear the garb of shame on behalf of our country. Because how can you read papers most of the time, you say, where they say the repel attack. I've just been wondering, I read military magazines a lot. It's called going back to the peak of the Cold War, when you read how military placed people on espionage, on intelligence, from the late 60s through the 70s, the 80s, before the Cold War hit the rocks. You see how tactics are employed, even within the sub-region. You read about such. So you now wonder, how come in Nigeria you hear tales from the military saying we repaired? This week we repaired. Okay, let's. I'm telling you that there isn't due action taken to cut this properly. There are different sides to the story. First of all, the Nigerian army is a wonderful institution. That's no contest. And I'm pained, visibly, because our brothers and sisters who wear the uniform, they play the leaders of this country on and on and on. Okay, so that is why I'm concerned to the extent that their lives should not be sacrificed in vain, and this country go on and on and on as if the country does not have the capacity to cut it.
Okay, basically, if we take a look at what transpired in Ebonyi State, even the vice president was there on Sunday to really pay condolences on behalf of the president, and he did say that justice will be served. That was the statement credited to the vice president, and he condoled the victims and the family members, and did say that there must be a way to fish out these criminals. But look at the aspect of the headers. Do you seem to take away that basic surety on the statement of the vice president?
No, we can't.
In ensuring that those hoodlums are caught.
They say that intentions are very simple to come by. It's the actions that follow that matters. So people don't weigh you by what you say, as much as the actions that you take to enforce what you say. So that's not to undermine what the vice president said. Okay. Of course, there's no government that will not resort to saying such. But the concern, like I will put forth, which I think most people equally have, is that such consoling narrative have been on and on and on and on and on, while the fire seems to be on the increase. The invasion in Ebonyi, the attack, is quite unfortunate. Now, you see, in my opinion, all the issues we are complaining about as it pertains to security, they are pointed to something that is specific to the nation state, which is the fact that the center is losing its hold. That is the fundamental. So, from one end to the other, you are seeing a clear manifestation of the fact that the center is not able to hold its annuals as far as pertains to security.
But you can't say that categorically, because if you look at the aspect of this terrorism, it's not really localized alone. We have it everywhere, even the world. So the world is faced.
No, see, that will amount to swimming the pool of the escapists, which is like a norm in this country. Crime is universal. Wrongdoing is universal. All sorts of things happen. It is not the fact that it's universal that is in contest. It is the way it is managed in your territory that reflects the fact that you are in charge. When you watch what happens in the US or in some other crimes, even in countries in West Africa and Africa, you see that a crime may take place, but you know that government is in charge because within a short while, is that the people have been arrested, there is a specific as to what has happened, the identity of those who are involved is already put forth to the public. Confidence is vast because people know that government is on top of the situation. So that is different from a case like we have in Nigeria that has become rampant, where it's story after story, where there is even rumor that the system pays ransom for people to be released. Okay, look at what happened in Niger State last week. It was reported in one of dailies that the guys that didn't carry out the attack, they are among people that Sheikh Bully went to hold negotiations with in the company of the secretary to the state government of Niger State. What happened last week? They didn't just come to attack and kidnap people and kill people. They killed 6 Nigerian soldiers. The same group of people. So it's not about the fact that it goes on everywhere. Like I said just now, crime is universal. Wrongdoing happens the world over. It is the capacity of law enforcement to be in charge and have a hold on whatever it is that is ongoing that is the difference. But in our country, Nigeria, that is not the case. Now, some experts made prediction not too long ago that once government in this country is folding its hands over and thinking that it will just go by like one of those things, is a very great threat to our existence as a nation. And they put it forth in this context. Like they seem like these guys are going after soft targets. But that once they go after soft targets and they succeed without any consequence, they're going to go after real targets. Real target in this case, they talked about institutions of government. That will refer, for example, to what happened in Imo State a few days ago, where the state police headquarters, about 30 vehicles were burned down, things were destroyed and all what have you. Now, it's a pointer to what those guys were saying, thinking that it will happen in the distant future. It's happening presently right before our nose. So the system is caving in, unfortunately. Now, see this other side of the story. As of 2009, when Mohammed Yusuf was killed under shady circumstances, and the former Commissioner for Religious Affairs under the Borno State government. Those guys were going about their countries, like I said a while ago, with just cutlasses and arrows and bows. Less than 2 years after, they got so equipped. What led to it? In all that is ongoing, there is a failure of intelligence in this country. And the journey of failure of intelligence is on the rise. Because when the army called the guys, but again, I think I'm not too comfortable with your statement, because if you say that there's failure of intelligence, I think records will also show to you that you are not solely right. Put the record on the table. Let me give you a simple instance. In 1967, Egypt is right here in Africa. As at that time, Egypt was about the major power on the Arab divide. When the state of Israel was created, in fact, the hope of some nations in that region was on the fact that Egypt was going to give them some support base to be able to put Israel where it belongs, or even control it where possible. The popular 6-day war that took place, that war was not won on the platform of the weapons Israel had. The war was won on the basis of simple intelligence. Let me give you the narrative. In one day, in fact, not in one day, in just a few hours, an Israeli intelligence officer was the one that created some distraction for certain people within the Egyptian top hierarchy, the lieutenants, to just create a distraction for them to be doing some other stuff, gisting together by the side. Why an Israeli airplane took that lacuna to strike and neutralize about 490 Egyptian aircraft in less than 3 hours. Now, it was that espionage, that intelligence, that Israel instructed to, when they neutralized the bulk of the air power of the power, as it were, in the Arab region. That was what made them to defeat that how many nations within 6 days. Okay, so I'm saying that was one piece.
Yes, but again, you also agree with me that the disparity is quite huge. Comparing the qualities,
I disagree with you.
As compared to that of Nigeria.
In this same country, have you not dealt with such upset before? By the way, you should know that the Boko Haram we are talking about is not even very distant from the one that was defeated in the past. The father of Mohammed Yusuf, historians have affirmed that was a core supporter of Mohammed Mawa, the founder of Meitesin, the popular group that terrorized the country in the early 80s. It was in 1980 that he was killed in the onslaught in Kano, where more than 4,200 people were killed over that crisis. This guy's father was a part of the network. Now, there was intelligence at that time. In 1982, when they had another onslaught on the Burukutu divide, Nigerian army did the military. There was intelligence. Now, government is supposed to be ahead. Okay. That is why it has the sole force of coercion. Thank you. But what we have presently is that, you see, like the ragtag insurgents have more intelligence. So in case you go join us, it's TMI, and I've been having a chat with Frank Ehioson, a political analyst and a social media influencer. I did say that we're going to be having a chat with the public relations officer of the Edo State Police Command, Bello Kontangs, and that will be coming up in a short while. But we'll take a short break. Stay with me.
And that's because information travels beyond boundaries.
And on This Morning on ITV, we guarantee unbiased analysis on topical issues
that will educate you,
entertain you.
So join us.
Join us.
Join us. Join us.
Join us.
Join us.
Every Sunday to Thursday, 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. on your ultimate news and current affairs program on television. This Morning on ITV, TMI. Join us.
Thank you for joining us, TMI, and we are still trying to establish contact with the SP Bello Kontangs, who is the public relations officer of the Edo State Police Command, on war against crime and terrorism, closing the gap. Still with me in the studio, I have a political analyst, social media influencer, Frank Ehioson. Thanks for being there. Now, you were making some comparison between Nigeria and some developed countries, so, because I know that we are far away in terms of the disparity, but let's try to get what is working for them and how to replicate it here. There has been this whole idea about ensuring that the sister agencies, collaborate, work to enhance synergy in fighting crime and terrorism. Where do you think we are lacking behind in this respect?
First of all, I wasn't quite comparing Nigeria with first world countries, just like Patrick just now. I only highlighted the relevance of intelligence in matters of welfare or security. That was what I pinpointed. There are so many friends that could be made. You know about the TB rate. There are even West African countries where we can make reference to where intelligence paid. But coming back to Nigeria, I said that in this same country, intelligence has been so prioritized in the past, and there was due impact made. The IGP's response squad, see the impact they are making anywhere they go to, any crime they go to track, you see the encompassing way the thing is addressed. So within this country it works. It's just that talking about agencies working together, like I said a while ago, all that is happening, they may seem disparate, but they are centralized in a sense. That is the truth. You see, it's a reflection or an offshoot of the culture of impunity that has been built and sustained over time. When you have a system where people carry out actions and they are not held to account duly, no matter how you handle it, it's only a matter of time. It will end up just like we're ending up as a nation state presently. But all hope is not lost. Of course, we can get our act together and make things work. But the thing is, if we don't do what we need to do, the clock is ticking and the time is becoming shorter and shorter and shorter by the minute. Nigeria is a very strategic country. It is said so clear all the time ago that those who reflect do not fall victim of dangers in the future because they think ahead and they take action duly. Americans began to build bunkers as far back as the early 70s. There was no nuclear war. But they didn't have nuclear weapon, and they had to make preparation for the worst. So they have started building bunkers in case there's a nuclear war where there will be survivors, that people can stay and have shelter. Up until less than 7 or so years ago, in the time of Barack Obama, they did an experiment in Washington, D.C. There was no tension, but in view, just in case they didn't want to strike. That is how you see a government being ahead in the game. But right now in this country, that is no longer the story. It used to be the story. You and I grew up in this country. The Nigerian police we are looking at today, even if there's a civil dysfunction as it pertains to our practice as a federal state, that's a discourse on another day. But as at that time, you had people that we call the CIDs, or those that don't wear uniforms. There were cases where somebody lives in your house, sometimes related to you. You've known him for 10 years, you not know that he's an informant to the police, he's a police officer. That is intelligence because he's coded. But that is lost presently. Nowadays, if you see people, in fact, somebody that is DSS will just be flagging, you say, you know I am so and so and so. I'm telling you that we used to have it. But it is lost over time because impunity and all other factors that diminishes the value of nationhood. Okay, what about the statement credited to the Service of Chiefs, where they did say that under the leadership of the Minister of, under the leadership of Chief of Defense Staff, General Lucky Rabo, where they did say that they are going to work together, join forces together to make sure that they fight this headlong. Don't you think this would be a wake-up call, and that could be coming up shortly under the new Service Chiefs arrangement? It's a wake-up call, no doubt. Since that call was made, we can itemize not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4 incidences of societal disruption or security incursion into the security space of our country.
But you agree that it won't just be an overnight thing?
It's not overnight thing. The truth is that they have good intentions. But one solution or one cap does not fit all. They want the thing to do their best. Where we are today is not their creation. First of all, is that it's not the responsibility of the military to ensure the internal security of any state. The world over, they can intervene to some extent, but the primary responsibility of internal security of any nation state is the police. That's their core mandate. So we are putting too much on them. I said it when we had an interview where we had this discussion. I said, look, so much is not placed on these guys that is only beyond them. They will do their best. They will start from where they are. And it may take time to hit the mark, no doubt, but they will have the intention and possibly take actions to do their best. But where we are is not their creation. That's why I said what they said is wonderful. But I think the solution to this problem does not lie with the military itself. The kinetics of such operations, as it pertains to the military, has been in use for so long a time. What is the impact? People are not talking about the fact that the government doesn't seem to have a peculiar narrative to counter the narrative that promotes the ideology that makes these things to grow, to thrive. A number of factors are involved in all that is ongoing. In those places where they fight, you see, for a nation state to survive, the legality of a government or the legitimacy it enjoys is proportional to the confidence that the citizens have in that government. Okay. Now, in this country, Nigeria, take sample opinion. Even if you have friends in the military and all dictators, you see that confidence in the nation state has so diminished. And government needs to resurrect, to restore that confidence factor. Otherwise, all the actions being taken will end up being like using pouring water in the basket.
Okay, you seem to talk in this direction that government is not doing enough. But let's look at the special constables that were deployed. You know, even the special one, particular one in case of Edo State, where 877 special constables were deployed to the various communities within the state. All of this as a result of the creation of community policing. Do you think that could be an angle where the federal government and the state governments can come together and really win in terms of intelligence gathering? Do you think that that's the right direction to go?
Yeah, it's worthwhile in terms of intelligence gathering. To that extent, it's worthwhile. But apart from that, it's ceremonial. Because it was not removed from the fact that the state is incapacitated in terms of law enforcement. It has spread over and over again.
When you say the state is incapacitated, what do you mean?
The state is incapacitated because in a functional federal system, every unit of government that has the capacity to make laws should have the capacity to enforce laws. Okay. So that we have it turned upside down in this country for so long a time.
So you are going in the direction of the state policing. Maybe that's where you are going.
State policing is necessary.
Okay.
But beyond state policing, like I said earlier, because the enforcement of laws and the values placed on them is very, very important. So I'm saying that not one cap fits all. I made reference to something just about the culture of impunity. In great state police as we are right now, it is necessary. They've started some processes like we have undertaken in the southwest, but there's still the challenge of the flaw associated with the system we had at the federal level being transmitted or carried over directly to these subsystems that have been set up, which remains impunity where people are not held to account. We cannot get the best of an organization where there is no performance index by which activities are measured. You make me a manager, there is no set target to be achieved in terms of staff capacity, in terms of remuneration, in terms of profit. When there is no target, just like it is said in the scriptures, where there is no law, there is no sin. That is how this system has been run around, because standards are not met. Everybody seems to be doing whatever they like. I'm able to say that is the truth. If government wears a different garment today, you know, they say if the politics is wrong, everything will be wrong. Because politics is the superstructure. That is the principle that governs the entire system, that makes policies and laws by which other subsectors are operated. So when it is wrong at that level, it will only be getting wrong and on in other space. So we have gotten it so wrong in so many spaces, it has been amplifying on, and it's taken for granted. Okay. The speech that Tafawa Balewa gave on the 7th of October in 1960 in the United Nations House, he made reference to some fundamentals. In 1964, if you read the speech by Nnamdi Azikiwe, the first year after we became a republic, he said nothing different from the stuff that Tafawa highlighted, and the same issues that we are grappling with today. It's not that when, like they said then, that then they were talking about 10% in terms of corruption, but now we're talking about 200 or 250%. There's just been a spike and an increase because things were not checked. It is said that if you allow something to go on its own, by the law of nature, deterioration is its destination. So man must consciously regard it to hit destination, to achieve specifics. Okay. The government is not throwing that line as it were. That is the truth.
Let's look at the aspect of the correctional facility that was broken in early hours of yesterday. Talking about the correctional facility in Imo State. What are your worries about this? Because we had a challenge during the tail end of the NSAS protest, that kick-started in October 2020 over the prison break. We had some similar in Edo State. Now, we're having another case in Owerri. What are your worries, and what do you think should be done right now to avoid a recurrence?
The case in Owerri is very scary. It's a counter to, like I found a while ago, the prediction of some security experts not too long ago, sometime last year, that these guys seem to be going on soft target. The confidence they enjoy in taking or achieving this would give them the boldness to go for hard targets. And that is what just happened in Owerri. 1,844 prisoners let up the hook. It's a strange story. In a state where, first of all, you don't have...
Although that figure is still being also investigated.
Because
we have different figures, so we can't lay claim to any figure yet. All right, so I think you should note that, please. You should know that. Okay.
The other is 1,444.
So you know which?
No. Even so, there are different figures. They fall within the same range. Because if you want to approximate it, you say almost 2,000. That is a meeting point of all the viewpoints. Even the prison, the acting prison chief there, he gave a speech.
Okay, but I quite appreciate the fact that you know that we have different figures being peddled.
That is true. That's why I mentioned that specifically. What we have in the papers.
Okay.
So what happened is a very bad signal for those guys to have the effrontery to strike at the police headquarters of a state. They are not joking. They are speaking. So government must take it very seriously. If you x-ray the history of nation states, how nations rise and fall, the fundamentals are all different. The trajectories are similar. So when the signs begin to show themselves, it's not enough for government to be saying that we're on top of it, we're on top of it. Like they say, actions speak louder than words. The fact that you say you're on top of it, and simply sit back, and they know that they are not safe. Because on and on they are attacked. Some people cannot travel across the states. There are some people that don't travel by road anymore. Air flight is now quite expensive. Sometimes if you don't book to a week or 2 weeks ahead, it's even difficult to get to a space.
Okay, but some also have said on this platform that despite the fact that, yes, the federal government calls the shot, but when it comes to the state governments, there is still some money kept aside as security vote. Can't also that be legislated upon in order to build the security in states and also in correctional facilities? Because huge chunk of money, is given to the office of the governor.
Not just the governor, the president too. Security vote is not just about the government.
I know, but I'm looking at the states now.
So it's widespread. I call that an anomaly that has been allowed to trial.
Yes, I said that because it's being said, like we have it here, that the federal government calls a shot in terms of the police, the military, the armed forces. But again, there's still some powers, in the hands of the state governors because of the largesse they also enjoy as security. That's my direction.
They enjoy largesse, no doubt.
Yeah.
Max Moron said that when purpose is not known, abuse is inevitable. Now, in any venture, that applies. Coming from the nation state, here's the link to state government. They enjoy that largesse. But I feel that it is as a goodwill allowance given to them.
So invariably they don't deploy it for the good of the people.
There is no serious country. There is no serious, let me use the word sane country, where there is growth and development based on the discussion of leadership. Now there's discussion of the locals.
Okay.
But when everything is left to the extreme to discussion, without due laws for checks and balance, danger is the end of the game. So governments have security votes. They spend time on discussion. They don't have policemen within their purview that they are in charge of as chief security officers. If they are police office officers under the state government, they can be held to account on the spread of such resources. But first of all,
but don't you see that as an anomaly? In governance.
See, what is it anomaly? That's why I told you just now that when the politics is wrong, then everything will be wrong.
Okay.
We practice democracy, but we practice it in negation. From the federal to the state to all levels of government, what we have is discretion. That is what gives room for impunity. We are supposed to have 3 arms of government. And by the initiator of that concept, Montesquieu, over 250 years ago. It is to ensure checks and balance, where there is equality. The executive, the legislature, and the judiciary, they are equal hands.
Are you saying that there's no actually separation of power in this direction?
In this direction, there is separation of powers. See, there are few states in this country where governors choose to be nice. I do some credit. I want to mention this massive and hailing some places where some governors choose to be nice. They try to be good to the people, show some bit of accountability. Yeah. It is not human there. So when people complain that people are stealing money, governors, okay, for example in Nigeria, there's how many governors that is not a billionaire. But when the salary of the average governor from independence to date, there is no government in this country whose salary is even up to 2 million. But the bulk of them end up as billionaires and they grow in billions. Why does that happen? It is the system. The system doesn't hold people to account.
So there are no checks.
There are no checks. The House of Assembly, which is supposed to be the most important arm and symbol of democracy, is ceremonial. And some people don't realize when government does not play the role it's supposed to play, legitimacy diminishes. And as it happens, everybody becomes a danger. Because we can't go back to the original state of nature. When life is nasty, British and short. That is why there is organization in society so people can live in harmony with some sense of equality. Common standard. Do you have a common standard here? No. What do you think empowers the bandits? Let me tell you very clear fundamental. Mohamed Nawa was not Nigeria. He came from Cameroon. He was first one deported in 1962. Before it became a republic, by the government at that time, you know, the coup of Nigeria was still the head of government. After it became a popular state in 1963, he came back and continued with his own plot. Now, what was the guy's gospel? He said, this government is corrupt. It was the gospel of corruption which he had evidence to show to the people going in the north that made it to happen worse. He's dead and gone. The people that took after him didn't know Boko Haram. What was their gospel? How do you think they get support from those local people? It's because they have something they send to the people that people look at and say, between government and these ones, these guys aren't telling the truth. They say government is corrupt. The man that was killed with Mohamed Yusuf in 2009, he was a former commissioner under the government of Benin State, Ayubu Sharif in Benin State. They were killed under shady circumstances. Till tomorrow, after they started their outfront, government found as if they investigated the case. This 12 years after, nothing to show to it. Now, these people we are talking about, I'm thinking that the impetus that the bandits, the terrorists, the invaders, the impetus they have, that needs to gain support from the masses, is that they tell them, look, these people are corrupt, and they put some evidence. The man left, let me tell you, the man, after a few meetings, he left the government of Ayubu Sharif then, in 2003. He went back to meet the Boko Haram members. I said, look at them that, okay, I want to smoke outside. These people that do that say I should go and join. What we are pushing against is exactly what they are doing. Every time we go to a road meeting, we simply calculation on how to do this, do that, for people to collect money for themselves. That was how the guy left the government as a commissioner of religious affairs. So you can see that when I say government is not playing its role, the culture of impunity is an incentive for criminality, is an incentive for crime, is an incentive for no productivity. Even within the unity, within the police cadre, discuss with them. They are disoriented to a large extent because there's no motivation to do the right thing. You ask yourself, to what end? Is it not the same system? 2018, we read the story. Somebody was declared wanted by an agency of government in this country. The man escaped and went to Dubai for more than 6 years. In 2018, the Attorney General of this country and the Special Advisor on Security traveled with taxpayers' money to go and negotiate with the guy to come back. To what end? To come and protest for government in Benin State. Later, when the guy came back, he was doing double promotion. Nobody knew of it. We don't believe that story. A group of young men, we were activists and said, man, there's life at the end of this tunnel. This guy is going to be the next governor. They went to the papers and created him over his promotion. That was what exposed that issue. Now, when it was exposed, the same government that was looking for trust, they began to play one game after the other. The bandits you want to correct, they are looking at you and they think that you are a bad example. And that motivates them. Once after the thing was exposed, that the same guy now is not being prosecuted, So it's just a case of...
Okay, you said in your analysis, big thanks, Frank Eroso, you said in your analysis, and you were very articulate, vibrant in that direction, over the need for the system, the government to check itself, under the separation of powers. You heard about the issue of the theory said by Thomas Hobbes, where life is short, nasty, and British, if there's no governance. Now, I give it to you on that. But let's look at how to change the narrative. We seem not to know what to do exactly, or we seem to know, but we fail to do it. So what do you think should be done to change the narrative? What should be done to make government more responsive? What should be done to make the citizenry more alive, to checking the excesses of governance?
Now, that's very important. I think what is ongoing on this platform is critical, because awareness is very key to change the world over. In the history of mankind, from the antediluvian era till date, when leadership is not reliable, what holds them to account and compels them to do the right thing is actually the citizenry. And what to make the citizenry to be coerced as a united in pursuit of what is ideal. It is information dissemination, like is ongoing presently. Issues are analyzed and they are properly detailed. Now, we must appreciate, first of all, that nationhood is a deliberate and dynamic process. There is no nation that is cast in stone. Perfection is not attained by any nation. It is a pursuit. So because it is a dynamic and dynamic process, there are always upheavals. There are factors that will compromise the state. You see, there's something that Nigerian leadership, our government must appreciate. It's not everybody that wants government. There are people that thrive more when there is crisis. You think, Libya is broken down today. We have several groups claiming ownership. Some of those people, they never want peace to reign. We have the same people in Nigeria. And we have war in the United States. With every assemblage of men, we have people with different proclivities. But it is the consistency of the view of majority that ensures the communal living of the people that promotes the existence of the nation state. That is where government comes in to represent the interests of the people, ensuring what they expect and promoting their ideals so that issues become stronger and on, it becomes more difficult for the enemies of the state to have their way.
Like the separatists.
Yeah, so but in Nigeria, what example has government set? That is a fundamental question. From 10 memorial, from 1976, the local government amendment, those are the laws that have been put together. Fortunately, some of them were done in the military. There were policies put forth that promotes division rather than unification. Let me give you a clear example. This I'm from Edo State. We are from Niger State. A policy of government ensures that this federal police is wide. Because you are from a state where the population of the police there are few. We will join the police at the same time. We become an SP, I will still be a corporal. How will I be motivated to give my God to such a system? When I feel that I know this guy, his name is Yaya. We school together in primary school. We join the first on the same day. Now he's a chief brigadier of police. Me, I'm still struggling. I may not be retiring as a sergeant. So that is the quota system.
But again, that also says, like what the Book of Wisdom did say, that time and chance happens to them all.
No, that is not time and chance. That is a deliberate policy of state that fractionates and divides, which is not right. Because what promotes nation state or guarantees the continuity of the nation state is a sense of social justice. It is in our constitution. There must be that perceived sense of justice. What is source of the goods is source of the plunder. If that awareness is not widespread, people get disillusion. See the simple example of the military chiefs that were left for so long just now. Some of them stayed in the military for 42 years. Doing what? Because some officers have retired now, they didn't get to their peak because of those men that stayed that long. Is that fairness? So, in the pursuit of nationhood, and why do we get to that point? It's because there's impunity. If we have a system where there are due checks and balance, where the House of Assembly, the legislature as it were, is able to hold the executive to account, some of such things will not be ongoing. We know that if we are practicing federalism as it ought to be, Nigeria will have long thrived. So in the First Republic. In the First Republic, we are first among nations.
Okay.
We are first to have TV station in Africa. There was development in the north, development in the east. Because, yes, it wasn't perfect. Like I said, government is a deliberate and dynamic process. There are ups and downs, but a conscious effort to ensure that it works, the government is different. But rather than coming out and promoting divides and creating factors of disharmony, government must lead by example. According to Albert Wells, he said, example is not the main thing that impresses others. Example is the only thing.
Thank you. Big thanks for taking our time to be part of this show, Frank Ajosun. And there's a much we can take here. A lot has been said concerning how to make the system work, how to make institutions work, and the citizenry, how to really set them living up to responsibility in terms of checking and also looking at ways in making sure that governance is key in helping to bring about the dividends of good governance. Well, this is what you can take. Don't forget, it's the TMI. We'll bring you more segments after this break.